People talk about the meaning of life. Talk about the good times. Talk about the good life. Say it's all in front of you. But in front of you, there's also gonna be some rough days. Gonna be some bad days. Some days when the sky is gray. But you know what they say. Don't let them steal your sunshine. Don't let them take your sunlight. If you let.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Media Mania Podcast. I am your host, as always, the Media Maverick Mike Weldon. And today I'm joined by the one and the only, the modern day gentleman, Gerry Swirlz. Gerry, welcome to the show.
I'm happy to be here, Mike. I appreciate that intro too. Very gentlemanly like of you to introduce me like that. Because from Empower, as you can see, I got
Of
my
course,
little cardigan on right now. I'm kind of chilling right now in the studio. Just kind of just, today's Thursday, but feels like a Friday, so I'm ready for today.
okay. And I'm not usually I start every episode with a question, but I was doing my research, just looking at some of your matches and looking at some of the cards you've been on, and just I'm amazed by some of the people you've gotten to share a ring with and just share a locker room with. It's just like
Thank you.
Jazz, Mike Mondo, Eric Bischoff, Kid Cash, Eugene.
Y-
Like Eugene was someone I love. Like his whole gimmick, I love. I It was just funny then, and just seeing how he just ran with it and made some just amazing who you got to share a locker room with.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very grateful for my time in wrestling. I've done this for 8 years now, and I've been privileged and blessed to be a part of a lot of great locker rooms and a lot of great talent along the way. To me, like the biggest thing that I get from all this is this be grateful, what's around you right now will go away one day. And truth be told, like I feel like this part of my career, this eighth year of my career right now, I'm doing this by myself. Like I've always had somebody or someone help me get along the way. And like I won't say it on this podcast. I'll tell you off camera when I have a
Yeah.
chance. But like I've learned over time that you've got to get out there and go for it yourself. And I'm learning how to just get this knowledge of information to people. Like you just mentioned, jazz. I'm doing a show with Kid Cash on the 28th, so that's happening very soon. The headbangers, Mosh and Thrasher. Obviously, Mosher, who just recently released a book, and I actually was just listening to his interview on Insight. Mosh. If it wasn't for him teaching me on how, like, just the tiny things of like interacting with fans and that are coming up to you during intermission and like how to do autographs and stuff like that to actually sell yourself. Like, because originally, this is a little story I'll tell you about.
Okay.
I sat down the first time I actually got myself merchandise. I bought myself t-shirts. I got 8x10s. I got pretty much the whole ordeal. Like I was ready to go, and I was just sitting down, kind of like how I'm sitting down in this chair right now.
Yeah.
Mosh was the only other person that was setting up his stuff. And like we were like just opening doors and everything at that point. So it wasn't intermission yet. It was before the show even started. He came over to me and pulled me to the side. He was like, "Why are you sitting down?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And he explained to me like they're here to see you. They're paying to see you. You want to be interacting with them during intermission. You want to sell yourself. Like if you notice, Glenn or Thrasher and I, we stand up. A lot of other times you'll see a lot of people sitting down and just, coming up to them, but that's because they've earned that. You're new. You want to interact. You want to get yourself out there. So I'm very interactive with my fans. I always try to include them in everything, at least a lot more now where I'm at in this stage of my career. And it's just one of those things that you want to be inclusive. You want to interact with them, have eye contact with the person, and just really that was one of the biggest things that I took with me in ran with. And to this day, like it's helped me out so much. Even on the last show I was at for Georgia Elite Wrestling, like I was surprised by what I was able to accomplish. And I'm having all these fans just come up to me and like That's always just been a thing that I always utilize. So if I could give a little something ahead of time, and I know we're just starting the interview, but I will say this, like always interact with your fans. It's going to get you far, and
Yeah.
always be communicating with them the way that you are, like you and I are, you know.
So one question I wanted to ask you, I was looking at some of the cards you've been on, especially the one with George South specifically. Like when you go to like a promotion that's like Christian based, is it different from like a regular indie promotion?
Now I have wrestled for Christian-based promotions in the past.
Mhm.
I unironically have yet to actually talk to George South. I haven't even actually, I know his name, but I never really got a chance to speak to him. But I will say this, it's just one of those things that you gotta have to control yourself. Like I have a gimmick to where it's kind of out there, and I've been on shows where I've been able to let loose and do my own thing. But when you're around a Christian-based promotion and stuff like that, you kind of have to reserve yourself a little bit. Not really like sh shelter or hide yourself, of course. I'm just saying, like, just respect, read the room and respect where you're at.
Yeah, tone it
I
down. You
think
have to tone yourself down some.
yes, 100%. So.
Okay. So my, I know that was just a question, but can you tell me about your training in your early days in the ring?
Absolutely. I originally trained in the Central Florida area, and I was under the guidance of Alex Porto, aka the Pug from the WWF, and obviously the from way before my time. He had a school, Pro Wrestling 2.0, and I went there. Originally, I was at a school before I went to Alex Porto's, and I got out of that school to go to Alex Porto's, go train with him. And, he had a lot of people before my time, like that are on television right now, like Darby Allin, Swerve Strickland, um, Moose, people that were way before, like they are where they are at today. And, I've gotten to meet those people, and I'm very grateful of that. I got to learn a lot of from a lot of different coaches that came in through that school that Alex would have in, and he would also, kind of transition out of. Cedric Alexander was there. Gentleman Jack Gallagher was there. Um, Ace Steel, the trainer of CM Punk, he was there, and really just getting a lot of different people and a lot of different knowledges. Excuse me, excuse me. You're getting a lot of different people that have different backgrounds. Cedric Alexander was a high flyer, high octane offense, a lot of flips, but also knows ground control. Muscle memory was the biggest thing that I got from him. You know, doing all those tackle, drop down, leaf rock, stop, get it again. Uh, Training sequences was a big deal for me. Ace Steel really, I felt like fine tuned and worked me the
Yeah.
most because I got to learn different things. Like I would say he taught me probably the most. Like I had a hard time with punching. I was a very, very green in that area. And he was the one that actually like pulled me and another person aside and like showed me how to lay it in. Because that's one of the biggest things I learned from all these coaches is lay your stuff in, lay it all in. Like that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing you want to do. You want to lay your stuff in no matter what and make it count every time. Like work like you want to work for the promotion that you want to be at the end of the day. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. So I take different things from different people and just kind of go from there. And there've been a lot of great seminars that have been there too. Sean Spears was a big example. Like him having a seminar before he even thought about opening up his own school was kind of a cool thing to do. Like
Flatbacks. Yeah.
this was yes, Flatbacks is a really great school to go to. I would recommend. It's run by Sean Spears, Tyler Breeze, and a lot of other great people that are there right now too. And I recommend that place if you want to get your feet into a wrestling ring and actually learn how to walk before you learn how to run and then hit the ropes. Like that's one of the really good schools. um, it's just is cool. It's a cool thing. Like, and just learning how to hit the ropes properly. There's just so much that goes into it. Like I said before, you're learning how to walk before you run. Essentially, it's like I think one of the biggest struggles early on for me, in my training was the left side because I always do everything on the right. You're doing the left side. You're working a different style. You're working a different part of your brain that, isn't registering to how you do
Yeah.
things. And that's one of the things for me that sort of catapulted into like trying really understanding like what this business is all about. Like it's doing stuff that it makes you uncomfortable. You'll feel uncomfortable at first, but you're also putting yourself in a position to where it may be uncomfortable right now, but later on in the long run, wait till you see the ride that you get on. Like I wish I could go back and tell my older self that because like I struggled early on. Like I was for probably like my third year was probably the time that like I started to kind of get it, but like after 6 years, that was when everything started to pick up. Because when I say it was in 2022, that was probably the best year I had career wise, fit wise, looked good, felt good. I'm not saying that's not the case now, but stuff that has happened to me in my life, life lessons, learning curves, everything that has brought me to this moment, it's all part of the journey. It's all part of where you're trying to get to in your life. And once I've reached that part of my destination, like it was time for me to spread my wings. And it was like year 4 going at that moment, it's like, okay, now it's time to actually like get serious. Let's actually start to look like a wrestler. Let's start actually investing in gear because the training of it is one thing, but like applying it and putting it out there is another. So by all means, like definitely go to a wrestling school and learn your craft and perfect it every time. Like that's the most important thing that I would say to anybody right now. You know,
And I don't want to get too off topic here for a second, but we were talking
no,
about Sean Spears for a second. I did not know this for the longest. I didn't know him and Tyler had a school until I was watching. I think it was an episode of Chris Van Vliet's Insight, and he went to
yes.
their school, and he asked Sean to give him a chop, and he had all the students there give Chris a chop. I'm like, that's like 20 chops. I'm like, no, no. He got raw. He got the short end of that stick.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I mean, he has to be chopped. I mean, and it was chop day, I think, on that day, right? Actually, there's a buddy of mine that was in that video. His name's Cam Walker or Cam Putter, I want to say is his name. He's up in the Arizona area. I want to give a shout out to Cam and just want to let you know I'm hollering about you, thinking about you, bro. So yeah, I remember he looked so different in that video too. Like the kid with the long blonde hair.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
yeah, that's who I'm talking about. He was in that video chopping Chris, and I was just like, man, this is so crazy how all these years later I've actually been able to maintain a friendship with him, and it's just kind of cool, the people that you get to meet along the way. And
It
like we
is.
talked about earlier about being in different locker rooms, it's just like again, I say like enjoy this while you can.
Yeah,
So
like I told you this off camera when I first introduced myself to you. Like at first I told you look like MJF. Like when you're in your full like out like when you're like in your picture, you look like MJF. Like the glasses, the look, and everything, you just look like MJF.
I've been recently getting LA nights, so I don't know if that's a case of me getting older or not, but at least I'm grateful that some people still acknowledge me as like an MJF lookalike. So thank you.
They're, wait, you say
um,
they're acknowledging you? Are they throwing the one up too, or
I don't think they're throwing those fingers up, but if you catch my drift, they might be throwing another finger next to that one, but that's okay. I'm a bad
that's
guy.
what?
What can I say? I have that face that you just want to punch, but you know what? It's another face you want to love too. I can't explain it. I just can't.
So, so how did you first get into wrestling? Like, who were your influences? Like who did you grow up watching that you looked at and said, I want to be that. I want to be there where they are.
Oh my gosh. Well, I grew up in the ruthless aggression era. Like I know everybody talks about like the golden age in the 80s and the early 90s, the attitude era, excuse me, obviously. But to me, I was a ruthless aggression era guy. Like I grew up around Matt Hardy version 1, Rey Mysterio. Yep, I already see it now. John Cena when he was Word Life. Uh, Believe it or not, this Shawn Michaels and Triple H, and for the longest time, I had no idea that they were actually a tag team. I never knew that. I always thought they were enemies, like growing up as a kid. So when I went back and looked at my history, I was like, I saw them back together in like '06 when they got back for the DX reunion. I was like, this was a thing, and like just seeing them together, yep, you already know. Like that was always cool to me. Like seeing DX, seeing Shawn Michaels and Triple H on the same side, and to get that experience. That one, and I mean, everybody knocks the 2011 one, but that was actually another important one a year to me because that was the last time that they were going to be together. That was when Shawn Michaels was on the verge of retirement at that point. Like, you know, no, I don't count Saudi Arabia shows. I'm just gonna put that out there right now. I don't count
No.
those. So I think you
One
and
of
me can
my
agree on
favorite
that.
one of my favorite Shawn Michaels matches, and I'm sure you say the same thing or something close to it. My favorite Shawn Michaels match was him versus Ric Flair. It was Flair's last match. I
Oh my
consider
God,
that I
yes.
consider that I was at Flair's last match in Nashville, and I don't consider that a last match at all.
I don't think you're truly ever retired in wrestling. Like I know that's a big thing, and I know that recently John Cena has gone on record and said he's actually going to be one of those wrestlers that does stay retired. We'll
Like
see. We'll see.
I was at a Rumble watch party last Saturday for the Rumble, and it was like 30 of us. We rented out a whole space to watch the Rumble, and when the Gunther AJ match came on at the end, AJ was like teasing, taking his gloves off, and he puts them back on. I'm like, oh, he's not done. He's not done.
Yeah, I regret that now because I was on my way to a show to Georgia Elite Wrestling. I
Mhm.
fly myself out. So I flew out and I made that post ahead of time, knowing that the show was taking place during there. And, I just was like, man, what a great career and everything. But I don't watch WWE anymore. I don't watch the full product anymore. Like I'll catch a YouTube clip here and there.
Yep, that's how I
Excuse
am.
me. But when I saw AJ with the gloves, when he was about to put them down, but then he pulled them back up, I was
Mhm.
just like, oh shit, he's coming back. There was no doubt in my mind. I don't think we're gonna see the last of AJ Styles. I think because vaguely remember him saying he wanted to finish up in June. So I think the thing with AJ Styles, and we go back about retirements and stuff. Like I said, you never truly stay retired. It's just one of those things that in wrestling, it's just not possible to stay away from this business. Like Jazz, we talked about her earlier. She had her retirement match in Florida that I got to go watch and witness, but also she got to have other matches ahead of time. Like obviously coming up for like a Royal Rumble appearance here and there, and going to
She
do
she
like
was
others.
she was working with TNA for a while. She was tag teaming with Jordan Grace, I believe.
Yes, she is a producer for the NWA currently right now. So yeah,
She
I don't want
also
to.
she runs her own thing, doesn't she? Also, I believe.
Yes, Dog Pound Wrestling. It's her and her husband Rodney Mack. They run a show up there. Actually, wrestled one of their students, Tony Teleska, and he's a good guy. We kind of got like a similar look and stuff. Hairdo. I mean, I know he just shaved his head bald, but same hairline, same same beard. I would say I got the better physique out of the two of us, but that remains to be seen.
Mhm.
Shout out to Tony Teleska too. So hope if you're watching this, Tony, hope you're doing well, man. I know he's on a weight loss journey right now, so
Yeah.
hopefully, he's doing okay.
So, what would you say? What is the locker room culture in like indie wrestling compared to what you think you see in like big promotions?
Locker room culture, to me, in my experience and in my life, it's just respect the people that are around you, respect the people that have come before you. I came from an era where in the locker room you respect where you're at. Like I'm always the kind of guy that would be willing to offer himself like a little corner in the spot, but have my own little space. But that's the
Mhm.
benefit of having your own little personal space. But also like it's not as crazy as it is like back in the heydays. Obviously the people that came before you, I think the shaking hands thing, that's kind of one of those things that I still try to implement, and I think that's still around, at least in all the locker rooms that I've been around. At least try to get to everybody and shake everybody's hand.
I think that
Another another big thing, it also is I would say like I do these things. I try to do these things. Like if there's somebody that's like older or that's been there for a long time, offer them a chair, offer them that, like that they've come before you. Like that's a respect thing that I think should still be kind of implemented. I feel like locker room culture is chill more than anything. There are some guys that, obviously you hear these stories about what it was like, almost like in the Wild Wild West and being backstage and everything compared to like a big promotion. Like, because I've done backstage work for TNA and it's just like it's so separated. Like, there's like in Florida, you would sit in like I forget what the name of the venue was, but it was over by the ballpark area, and you would sit where the bleachers are, where the fans would sit. That's where all the extras would sit. But then there's also the actual locker room, which is very open to like the people that like are on television. Like I'm talking Trey Miguel, I'm talking the Motor City Machine Guns when they were still there. Yep, the Rascals. Who else? Gosh. Like just all the people that have come before us that are there right now. That's where we all want to aspire to be at one day, like me, my aspiration is to be with AEW. Like that's the one place I always want to go that I feel like is untapped potential. Like I've seen MLW, I've seen TNA, and in fact wrestling before it rechanged to TNA. And I've been to New Japan. Yeah, New Japan was another one. New Japan, where they did the CEO gaming. That was their that was when Kenny was the IWGP champion. I remember that was when Jushin Liger was like kind of winding down his career. So like that's kind of cool to me personally because like I'm doing security and I'm sitting there watching Jushin Liger do the opening match. Obviously, he was part of the very first episode of WCW Nitro with Flying Brian Pillman, and obviously their match compared to when they wrestled years ago in like '94, the year or two before, and it's just like, man, like this is kind of cool. Like I'm watching Liger, I'm watching Hiromu Takahashi, I'm watching Rocky Romero, I'm seeing Kenny Omega team up with Kota Ibushi. Like that was such a cool time in my life. And like I cherish that every single time. And all these years later, I did get to perform at the Ocean Center, the room next door, of course. Like it was kind of one of those things where it's a full circle moment. It's like you see what you were sitting there at one moment, and then the next you're actually performing in that same venue where the NWO performed, where Bash at the Beach, where Hulk Hogan walked out on. You're performing where some WWE vets have been there. I mean, it's just like it's such a cool feeling, like to have like that full circle moment. Like, and I'm grateful to have that early on in my career.
Like just last night, I was watching Dynamite. It was the Orange Cassidy, Tony Storm match, and I got to see a female wrestler on the indie scene that I follow. I've gotten to meet her a couple of times. Her name's Brittany Brooks. She was
yes. I was gonna say I liked her work.
And I was sitting there. I was for the match. I'm like, where? I know her. That's Brittany. It's Brittany, bitch. That's like she uses that song in a lot of her stuff she posts. She'll use Britney Spears songs because her name's Brittany. And I was like,
oh, that's cool.
Brittany Brooks. That's awesome. Getting to see people I see on the indie scene, they get their moments on TV.
That's absolutely like that's always a cool feeling to see, like when you made it as an extra. Like that's definitely a goal of mine to do this year. I definitely want to try and get on television, at least do an extra spot to be in the ring. Like I'll do whatever when it's an extra work or something like that. But kind of just like that's just a dream. It's just like you're one step closer. Like I was just listening to Headbanger Mosh's interview and like how he did job matches early on for the WWF back in the day, and to look where he's at now, and like to see him writing a book about his life story and everything. I don't mean to talk too much about him because I know he probably will hate this, but I appreciate you, Headbanger Mosh.
So I'm going to ask you this question. This question's coming because I was talking to you about it off camera when we were talking.
Mm-hmm.
You've gotten to work in my hometown, somewhere that's famous for wrestling, 901, Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
How is Memphis, like every time, like the times you've been there, how is it treated?
How has it treated me? in
Yeah.
Memphis, I would say the Southern hospitality is definitely there. So I've gotten to perform for the Gypsy Joe Arena.
Uh,
Um,
uh, uh,
yes, I gotten to perform there. I've gotten to perform. There's a few other Tennessee, but I just can't remember off the top of my head. I do have an upcoming show for 901 on the 21st. I know it hasn't been announced yet. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I talked to Josh, by the way. He's such a great guy. Tommy too. He seems like a really cool person, and like just the hospitality. I know Stetsons and flannels. Corey James and Zach have gotten to be up there recently, or Zach Riley. Sorry, my so much knowledge of being in the wrestling ring, and like just seeing them get that opportunity is really cool, and like to be at that stage and be at that part in their careers.
have you ever
Tennessee's so amazing.
have you ever gotten to wrestle for Memphis Wrestling with Dustin Starr yet?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Uh,
I have my list of promotions. I'd have to pull it up on my notepad on my phone. Like I always try to they say I always try to keep track of all my promotions, and I've heard writing it down means so much when you do it. Like Ace Austin does that still to this very day, and that's pretty cool that he keeps a log of all of his matches in like a little notepad and the date, time, year, name of the promotion. Like that goes a long way in your
that's what I
career.
do.
Just
I do like I'm not like I do it with my pockets. Like I have a whole list of people like and see this is what I say this on every episode and it's people are gonna get tired of hearing me say it, but I do this every episode. Like I have a list of big names I want to interview and have a list of indie people I want to interview. And so far, I've been leaning towards more. I want to get people from the indie scene. Not the big names; they can wait a while. Like, I want to shine a light on the indie scene.
there's a lot on the indie scene, that I think is just so untapped. Like from and I don't mean to keep harping on this, but like during my time in indie wrestling, like it was so you wanted to work for these different promotions. Now there's such a plethora all of it, like there's so much indie wrestling, there's so much wrestling in general. Like I'm so grateful that we have all that. It can almost get tiring sometimes in a good way, it's like, oh man, like, did you hear about such and such show? Like, did you hear what happened on JCW Lunacy? Did you hear what happened on NWA Power? Did you hear about on Ring of Honor what happened with on honorclub.com? Like it's so much. And like, there's so many of these independent wrestlers that are just up and coming. Like I see them on my Facebook feed all the time. And I'm just like, man, like do you like Jesse Ventura? You do?
Let's
Are you a
see.
Jesse Ventura guy? Would
Hmm,
kinda?
kind of.
Okay. Okay. I I'll be honest and say like Hulk Hogan, the idea of Hulk Hogan, I try to separate from Terry Bollea to the idea of Hulk Hogan.
Yeah,
I separate the two, and
yeah.
but I feel like if we were if the independent wrestling scene could, if there was not like a full blown, but like some sort of union, not like I know we talk about unions in wrestling. It's such a crazy idea. It's such a crazy thing. But here's the thing: you could still give the guys what they make, let them keep all their merchandise money, let them do all that. Maybe there could be something down the middle to where, the union could help wrestlers who, because independent wrestling doesn't cover medical bills. You have to cover your own expenses. You have to cover for all that. And that's all understandable. You all have to make it somewhere, of course, but there's
That was gonna be one of
no,
my questions. That was gonna be one of my questions I asked you actually.
yes, really.
Like, hmm
If there should be a union in wrestling, I agree.
uh,
No, absolutely.
well, something along the lines like I was gonna ask you, how do you manage injuries or setbacks when you don't have a big company backing you?
Well, to me, I always try to work smart, like try to work safe. Like my biggest thing is safety in the ring. Like I always try to, I can't say I'm invincible or anything like that, but I'm very grateful to know that nothing invincible. He's up on my feed. He's up on my list. I want to give that guy the chance, time of day. He's making all the right moves. He's making all the right decisions. Hopefully I think it's not a matter of not a matter of if, but when it's going to happen. So it might be around the corner. Who knows? So, heck, I know he lives in New Jersey, and I wrestle up in New Jersey time to time. So Any
Like,
promoter
there's
in
a
New
couple guys like
Jersey?
him, Richard Holiday, Big Ben Bishop.
Yes.
They're all on my list of who I want on the show. They're on my list for 2026 of people I want on the show. I don't they may happen, they may not happen, but I just have them written down.
Well, you put it out there in the universe, and I'm always a believer of what you ask out there will come back to you in some sort of way. So you never know. So dealing with injuries, I think a lot. I think me, like I said, I try not to work a style where like you see everybody doing flips, dives, back, doing all this insane stuff, and it's great, and it's awesome. But here's the thing: in the long run, what is that going to do to your body? What is that going
Yeah.
to do to you? Like me, comedy is one of my strong points. I always try to make people laugh, if not the other person laugh that's in the crowd. I try not to make them laugh at me, much as so as I like to when they're with me. I'm a bad guy everywhere I go. Like that's just kind of been the stigma because again, having that look and everything. But it's kind of been one of those areas to where like people have to boo me, but they also want to cheer me just because like I try to emote this and I try to sell. One of the key things is always keep always keep yourself protected. Like tucking your chin, making sure like whatever high move I'm doing, like I always try to go the extra mile and try to protect myself in the long run. Like,
Yeah.
my first match back this year was on the 31st, Georgia Elite Wrestling, and I kind of landed on my tailbone during an elbow drop that I gave on the middle rope, which is so crazy. I've always been able to miss an elbow drop on the
Yeah.
top rope, but the first time I do it on the middle rope, I was like, let me just hit the middle rope. Let me just keep it safe, Let me just try something different, right? Nope.
Yeah.
Landed hard on that mat, and I was like, I hadn't missed an elbow drop in a while. When I landed, I got to the back when that adrenaline wore off. I was just like,
Hmm.
oh no, like my right butt cheek was just so tight. Like I was kind of like hobbling a little bit like this in the locker room. Nobody noticed it, thank God. But I was able to heal. It was just a bruise. It was no big deal. But like I say that now and something bad's gonna happen. So,
Oh, knock on
like
yeah, knock on wood. Yeah. Like,
mhm.
it's nice to get
Always.
like it's so nice to always have someone because you see all these people who bash on wrestling and say, "Oh, it's fake." Oh, you go take a bump in one of these. I've taken a bump or two. I've run the ropes with a couple people, and I was so I've never had a match, but like you go bump in one of those rings and see how much gives in one of them damn things.
There's barely any give in the wrestling ring, really. I mean, like I've wrestled on all kinds of rings, like low boys, 16 by 16s, 20 by
Mhm.
20s, the WrestleMania 3 ring, which is a whole story in
Mhm.
its own right, which is pretty cool in some sort of sense, kind of half and half on that. But
Yeah.
rings are made of steel cable. The
Yeah.
thin padding in the turnbuckle post on the mat. There's no
Mhm.
pads like you see on television to protect me from when I land on the ground or anything like that.
Yeah.
There's no give really to a wrestling ring. That's why being safe goes a long way and working smart goes an even longer
Mhm.
way too. Like I'd go the extra mile no matter what. Like I remember I gave somebody a clothesline and I did the mankind clothesline over the top deal,
Mhm.
but I
Yeah.
always I have my hand underneath just for protection, just so they don't hit their head or anything like that. Because I've seen way too many injuries. I've seen somebody do an inside out bump off a clothesline, break their freaking neck. Yeah, no, it's not the greatest thing in the world. At least let's go an extra mile. Let's actually ground and pound, chain wrestling, safe, snug. Let's do that. Like that's my wrestling. Obviously, there's room for everything. Like me, when I look at wrestling, I look at it like a palette. Sorry if I'm rambling on about this, but
Oh,
I look at
you're
it like a
fine.
palette.
Yeah.
Like you have your different colors. You have your comedy. You have room for your main event scene, your tag team wrestling, your chain wrestling, your high flying. Like there should be something for everybody to have. I feel, in my opinion. Everybody deserves to have room with some sort of way that they're trying to do. It's an art form. Wrestling is an art form at the end of the day. It's about projecting your art out to people and showcasing what you have to offer and almost in a way make a difference. Like that's my biggest pet peeve in wrestling is you want to make a difference doing this. You want to put a smile on someone's face. You want them to remember. You want them to feel. The
Yeah.
biggest thing that I think corporate wrestling, and I know that it's such a bad term, like that's the one thing not on my pain palette is corporate wrestling. I'm talking like TKO and what we're seeing right now, like with
Mhm.
WWE, and like just you're robbing these fans of people who deserve to go have that experience, to go have that feel of being at a WWE show, much less like any other wrestling show. You want them to get that same feeling because this is like a huge deal. That's where everybody grew up to want to go and watch. And I'm so grateful that we still have AEW to this day. And people dog on AEW saying how, oh, it's going to go out of business in the next 6 to 8 years. Oh, it's going to go out of business soon. It's like they are still here. Tony Khan still owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's
Mhm.
still making a living. He's got probably the most viewerships in a long time. And I don't want to talk about wrestling. I'm not talking about ratings. I'm talking about views. Like
Yeah.
there's more views coming. Like there's no such thing as wrestling ratings. I'll be honest,
Mhm.
there isn't. It's just there's room for a lot of other wrestling for alternatives. And
Mhm.
looking at where AEW was years ago to now, it's like night and day. So,
And now you have you were talking about it a little while ago, like 10 minutes or so ago. JCW, they weren't like they were small like when they first started up like they weren't nothing, but now you like every day now I see something about JCW in my feeds, and that's only because and I'll put my hand here. I'll put my hand up to why I. It's one of the female wrestlers I follow from there, and she's one of my people I want on the podcast. You probably know who I'm talking about. The Black Dahlia, aka Paige Collette, the Ring Rat. She is. I love her.
oh
Her story. Her story is just so like the wrestling with CRPS. I didn't even know what that was until I heard of her.
wow. I try to follow JCW as much as I possibly can, but wow, I did hear about, a little bit about her story and what happened to her this year and
Mhm.
how she felt. Like you should never have to feel that way, any female whatsoever. Like that seems like an interesting story. I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit more and actually come back to you and be like, wow, like so.
So, do you have any crazy or funny road stories you could share from going from like show to show?
Um, there's a few. There's a ton. I'm really gonna have to like dig down the well and like actually. Um, okay, this is a good one. Road Warrior Animal. I had to pick him up at the airport for a show. This
We're
is an
getting road
interesting.
warrior story.
Yeah, so this is a so he had an agent. When may God rest his soul. Road Warrior Animal. He
Mhm.
had an agent that called me in the middle of the day and that his flight was coming in early
Yeah.
and I just had a tire blowout and I had to go get it fixed and I had to just storm right away, go get my buddy, and we were gonna pick him up at the airport. So he waited a little bit and he was cool. He was super nice, polite. I'm driving and he's just telling us stories about how him and Hawk were, the psychology of tag team wrestling and how like him and Hawk were always like this. They went in, they just knew each other from bell ring and everything. Told us a lot of stories about how him and Heidenreich lost the tag titles like just minutes before they went out to Eminem, like
Hmm.
because they remember when he came back on SmackDown, he was still on the Road Warrior DVD.
Hmm.
So, he was just explaining to us like about just psychology of tag team wrestling and how it's important to always know your partner like a book, always know him and read him, know everything about like I know there's video footage out there of just keeping of that there and with talking about tag team psychology, but I'm just listening to him this entire time. Now, coming from the Orlando airport, there's a few exits. There's the one exit that takes you straight to Cocoa, and you can go straight and you go down to Brevard County. Then there's the exit that takes you to Orlando, and you go through like Seminole County and all this other stuff. I went. We had the show at Cocoa
Yeah.
Beach or Cocoa, Florida.
Hmm.
I took the other direction. I went to Orlando and I'm listening to him this entire time, and 30 minutes have gone by, and I'm realizing where we are. And my buddy was like, "Hey, this is the Orlando area." I'm like, "No, it's not. I know where we're going." Like trying to be all smart and stuff about it.
Uh, uh,
Oh man, in Orlando, and he was. he was very, very hot. Like he even called his agent. He was like, "Man, this kid just took me over to like some freaking place in Orlando. It's freaking ridiculous. Trying to take me over some dojo. It's something, you know." And it's like
Oh,
we stopped at a Subway. I felt terrible. He was gonna pay for my meal. I was like, "I got it, man. Don't worry about it. I just wanted to forget about this and everything. You know, everything was cool after that. You know."
oh,
He was why he was cool. He was cool to have that. All right. Okay. Now that we're getting into this, like another road story. A few times I've had to do this. When he was also alive, Sabu.
oh, we're getting not Sabu. We're getting a Sabu story. Oh, I
Yeah,
got
we're
that
gonna
one.
get. All right. Have
All
some popcorn and get ready for this.
right,
So
man.
I was a designated driver for this promotion that had booked a lot of, and I'll tell you a little bit about it off camera later on, but I was a designated driver for all these people that were coming in, like the bigger names and stuff. Sabu, Tommy Dreamer, Raven, Justin Credible didn't really go in. Shane Douglas. Um, I mean, like I could just
Naming them
go on
all.
all day
Hold
about all the
on.
people.
I'm waiting for one name. I'm waiting for you to say one other name.
Which one are you looking for? Jazz? Who
I
is
was
it?
listening to Sandman. I was looking for Sandman.
Oh, I got stories on him too. All right, so all right, if I can get this enough in time,
Yeah,
I'll tell you a
yeah.
Sabu story and I'll tell you a Sandman story. I feel like the Sandman story. Let's do the Sandman story last. We'll go to the Sabu one. I mean, timeline's a little bit off on that, but it's okay. So I've had Sabu, my first time meeting Sabu. Super awesome, super cool. You know, this is when him and Jeannie were both still alive. When I picked them up and I'm driving them to the venue. I'm getting there. Keep in mind, this is like a 45 minute, at least like 55-minute drive from his hotel to the venue in Coco. And I'm driving him. You know, he was like, I just want to say thank you. Well, first, actually, no. The first thing he actually did, because as you know, he did the Zaza. And the first thing he did, I'll never forget it. I have my passenger seat, and on my dashboard, he just smacked the sticker right on it, and it said Matrix, and it had like all these pot signs and everything on it. I was like, oh great, I'm gonna get pulled over now whenever cop sees it. Um,
Oh,
but the first words out of his mouth after the in person that he told me was Matrix. It's a good brand. You try it, Matrix.
uh,
Okay, thank you.
uh,
Jeannie was super. Jeannie was his handler, obviously, at the time, and she was helping him out around and stuff. And Sabu was like, "Hey, kid, you got the heat pass to get by and everything?" I was like, "Yeah, no, it's cool. I got it. You know, I didn't have an heat pass, but I'm not gonna ask for money or anything like that because like he came before me, and I want to respect him for that. So we get past like one e pass toll, maybe two, and as I'm driving, he pulls out a bunch of singles, and it was like all this money. And I'm just like, maybe I could have asked him for it. I don't know, but we do the show. We're all done. You know, Sabu was just waiting for me and everything, and super nice guy, super fun. He offers me dinner. We go to Wawa, we go get a sandwich, but I guess I don't know. Allegedly, he was on. As you know, the stories and everything that has come out. Allegedly, you know, he could have been on something. I'm not going to say that he was. I'm not going to be a stooge or anything like that. But let's just say when we were at the Wawa gas station, he was going in and out like a revolving door. Like I thought he went out like three or four times, and uh, him and Jeannie were waiting in line, and I'm like in line waiting, you know, and he's just like,
yeah.
"Hey, you okay? Good." And he's just going right back, like, "Is this guy okay? Like, do I have to take him somewhere?" So he's going back and forth a number of times, and Jeannie was like trying to, make sure that she's okay and everything. A phone was on the ground. I was like, "Oh crap, she dropped her phone. I want to make sure she has it." So I showed it to her. I showed it to her, by the way. I'm just letting you know right now. I showed her, like, "Hey, I got your phone for you right here." And she saw it. I don't think it registered to her because she was trying to deal with Sabu and the Wawa. So we left Wawa. We get to the hotel. I said my thank yous, and I wanted to say I appreciate you guys for your time and everything, and like I'm very grateful, to just be here with you and everything. Thank you. And before I forget, I do want to give you back your phone, Jeannie. Here you go. Just hope you guys have a great flight back home. If you guys need anything else, just let me know.
Okay.
This isn't my phone, honey. I'm like, what? It's got, I'm talking like the phone case had like glitter and stuff like that all over, like crystal. I'm like, this isn't your phone? I'm like, it's not Sabu's?
Oh no.
I stole somebody's phone off the ground of a Wawa gas station. I could not believe that actually happened to me. And she's like, did you steal somebody's phone? Jeannie was like, you stole somebody's phone? I was like, no. I thought this was yours. And Sabu was over here laughing his fun off.
Oh.
So he grabs the phone and he's reciting, Kevin Gates, and he did the song Two Phones.
Mm-hmm.
He had both the phones. He's like, yeah, I got two phones. I got two phones. He's like trying to pitch them on.
Oh no.
I was like, oh no. I felt like I hope knowing them, they turned the phone in for me, but I have no idea to this day if that ever happened or not. So.
Speaking of Sabu, getting to see his last match, that was one of the greatest things ever, getting to see his last match against Joey Janela.
Yeah.
And then him passing not long after that. I know I've heard the same rumors you probably have, that he was on something during that time and all this and that. I'll say this, and I will die on this hill. You can try and take mine, but I would die on this hill. Sabu went out only like Sabu could go out. He went out on his shield.
I a whole 100% agree with you. Here's the thing about Sabu. No matter what you say, no matter what you try to tell him, no matter what, if you try to tell him to not smoke Zaza in your car, he's not. He's going to do it regardless. He's going to do it. Huh?
He's going to tell you where to go and what to get. Get fucked.
And make sure you don't steal somebody else's phone for him to hold up, so he has two phones in his hands.
Oh no!
Oh my gosh!
Don't do that.
No. All joking aside, I've heard what happened. Kratom, that's what the substance was. It's not even a substance really. Like I've had Kratom. Kratom, it's I used to go to this tea house called Thai's Tea House where they would sell kava, kombucha, and stuff like that. And it's Kratom is just it's a supplement. It's almost like a supplement in a way. I'm not going to be a doctor here or try to vouch or anything like that, but no matter what the circumstances were, even from what I've heard in the headlines, Sabu wanted to do this match. He wanted to, and he was going to go out one way or another. And him and Joey Janela, they have a history with each other. Obviously, if you watch the documentary on Joey Janela, the match that he had originally, they had a falling out, and all these years later coming together and to see such a beautiful thing. We can talk all day. I think there can be room for deathmatch wrestling if done right. And I want to say, I think for Sabu's case, like you said, no matter what, he was going to go out the way that he was going to go out, no matter what anybody told him, did not tell him to do or anything like that. Like Sabu is Sabu. He rested in peace alongside Super Genie, and may the deathmatch heaven gods take good care of him in a better spot. Then please let me know if you.
Balls Mahoney and all of them.
Actually, it's funny you bring up Balls Mahoney. I'm actually going to be doing we're doing a tribute show for his wife and her son on April 11th of this year. It's with ACW, Assault Championship Wrestling in New Jersey, with ECW original Jason Knight. Him and his wife are very close friends with Balls Mahoney's widow and their son. And this is going to be a big benefit show to help, in honor of their family that are going through some tough times right now, and also to help put her son through college. So I wonder if can we do something on this podcast to share a link to where that might be, and maybe we could probably plug that in there somehow if that's possible on this podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Awesome. Sweet. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I think Balls Mahoney doesn't get enough love, and I feel like he was one of those few guys that was in ECW that did the hardcore style, but could also wrestle too. And I think he's one of those wrestlers that's very underrated in my opinion.
He is. So I have two more questions I want to ask you before we clear the air for before we finish up today. What is the biggest lesson wrestling has taught you about life in the 8 years you've been doing this?
The biggest lesson that this business has taught me, that this sport has taught me, is there's two lessons. Can I say two? There's two big lessons here.
Yeah.
Always, and I mean this with a heavy heart, always look out for yourself. Not everybody is going to be your friend. Yes, there are those very few that do end up becoming your friends and will be your friends. But at the end of the day, that switch that we have, that we do, that turns on from when we do this, that has to turn off. That's one of those things that has to be, separated from who you are. Like me, Gerry Swirlz from Tim to Tim, Tim is my shoot name. I've learned to finally actually separate those two, being where I'm at in life, being sober, being cleaned up. Like I lived the gimmick a little too much, I would say. I mean, I wasn't like a heavy alcoholic or anything like that, but going to bars, drinking, trying to impress and live that rock star lifestyle.
So you're trying to be a Rolex wearing, kiss stealing, diamond ring wearing something.
Oh no. Do not put me in that comparison with that guy, because that guy's a whole different story. That's all. But in some sense, it's just kind of one of those things that I got caught up in. I let my ego get the better of me, and it kind of humbled me to where I'm at right now, where like I'm a guy who loves professional wrestling. If success comes along the way, success is going to come along the way. Make sure at the end of the day, though, you don't put yourself in a position where you give everything for such a certain amount of time and you don't get anything in return. I do firmly believe that you have to look out for yourself in this business. Friends will come along the way. Don't force anything. The other thing that I would say that wrestling has taught me personally is that you're never truly done. You're never truly done. And what I mean by that is you're never real. No, nobody can tell you, oh, this guy sucks, yada yada. As an example, this guy sucks. He needs to quit wrestling. That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant to me. You're never done unless you truly say you're done. I took a little break from wrestling. I did. And my personal life, my home life, again, I'll tell you off camera, was not the greatest. Like I was depressed, gained weight, I looked like a piece of crap. Starting to feel a lot better now, going to a gym, trying to work out again, watch wrestling again, find that love again. I fell out of love with it. I was in a rut. For the longest time. And like to do something for somebody for so long and yet to have happen what happened to me, it's kind of one of those things that you quit on yourself. You don't quit because of them. You quit when it's time to hang it up. Like, I always believe that anybody can make it anywhere in the world of professional wrestling when you put your mind to it, when you actually put your all into it. I've always felt for the longest time, I was always doing something for somebody else, and I was never doing it for me. Now, I'm finally doing this for myself. I'm finally doing what I want to do because that's the person that I want to be. I mean, like, I want to look out for others that are coming up in this business where I was at, because this is a whole new generation that's coming up in the next few years, 28 years old. And I expect to do this for like another 20, 30 years. I'm still in the indies by 45, maybe 55, I want to say. If I can do this at 55, I'll be amazed. I'm making it a new goal that I want to be wrestling past the age that Tom Brady retired at. I want to be that age. I want to be 5 years past ahead of him. That's just me. That's a personal goal of mine. So, but yeah, the two biggest lessons, always look out for you. Friends will come along the way, but at the end of the day, look out for yourself. And of course, you're never truly done unless and no one ever truly tells you that you're done until you say that you're done, if that makes any sense.
Never say never. Yeah, in pro wrestling,
Never say
I
never.
always hear him say never say never. So this last question, it might sound generic because I know you probably hear other podcasts use it for their questions, but
Go ahead.
what advice would you give someone looking to break into pro wrestling today?
What advice I would give them?
Yeah,
The biggest advice is sell. Like, I know that's a common answer, I think, in today's age, but selling really means something. It's a lost art right now, I feel like, on both sides, not just big companies, but maybe some of the independents
yeah,
are still doing it. I think it's not getting recognized enough, but selling is truly like an important part of wrestling sport dash business we do. It's important because this is money. Your face is money. People want to
yep,
feel what you're feeling that is in that ring, whether you're getting beat up or whether you're doing the beating up when you're laying that in or you're getting it laid into you. You need to be looking like you are. Can I curse on here? I don't know if I've actually cursed at all at this point. Or
feel, like, feel free.
you need to look like you're fucking going into it all, and you need to actually be giving it your all with this because this will always be here for you, and this will always be your best safety net in case. Because some guys go in, they just want to wrestle, but they always just go point A, B, C, D, E, F. They're not actually emoting this. Like,
You need to
again,
sell
I
like a
keep using him as a reference. Headbanger Mosh. He
yeah,
teaches selling over at the PC. The biggest thing is, you know, pause. Obviously everybody wants to go 100 miles an hour, but during that 100 miles an hour, you need to pause and let it register, let it marinate for everybody to see what you're doing and what you're trying to tell in the ring. Like storytelling is a big part. Selling is a big part of that. Don't worry about, and that's part A. Part B is once you've mastered that and you've got the wrestling down, the wrestling will come to you. Like the wrestling will be something that you pick up. Yes, go through your drills. Yes, it's going to suck waking up whatever time you're training at or whatever time zone, rolling around, bumping, learning these crisscross drills, doing these up and overs, doing these sequences that may not look like it much, but trust me, they're going to mean a lot in the long run. That's why like fundamentals are key. Fundamentals are a big part of wrestling training. So if you're breaking in, learn your fundamentals, master the art of storytelling and selling. That's really the best way. Like pick and choose a few people that are like on your Mount Rushmore or like your top 10 list or whatever. Don't just say they're your top 10 wrestlers. Why are they on your top 10 list? Why are they your Mount Rushmore? What did they each aspire to have and what did they all accomplish that got them to that point? Watch with your eyes, listen with your ears. This work on when when you're trying to tell a story, you know.
yeah. Hmm.
So
And it's gonna sound corny, but I saw a video. It said you need to sell like the rent is due. Sell like the rent is due.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. You sell like your rent's due. When your rent's due, I mean, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna really hurt. But you know what? When you're selling that, that's money. You're selling is money, no matter what. That's to me the most important ingredient in professional wrestling, in a professional wrestling match, period. Selling is art. It is. It truly is.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show today and giving me a little bit of your time. I love this episode. I loved hearing your story about the modern day gentleman and just some of the stories you shared about people you've gotten to be around and learn from. I always love episodes where I get to hear some stories that I probably would never get to hear again. So I appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule to have me on your show. I'm truly grateful to be. It's my first podcast I've done in a very long time, so this is kind of special to me, and I'm glad I couldn't have picked a better person to have done it with. So I really want to thank you for letting me be on your platform, let me project myself on here, and just shout out to all the other independent wrestlers, that are trying to grind right now, that are trying to make it. It's hard. There may be days you don't want to wake up and do this, and you may question where you're at, but trust me, the risk is worth the reward, as the old saying goes.
It always is. And if you make sure y'all catch this episode, it'll be dropping in the next couple of days. And then if you ever watched an episode of this podcast and you've gotten to an end of an episode, you'll know where this is about to go. As always, I've been your host. This has been the Media Mania Podcast, and I am your host, the Media Maverick, Mike Weldon. And this has been the modern day gentleman, Gerry Swirlz.